Today we're going to be talking about blessed are the merciful. And that's Matthew 5, verse 7. As you know, this is part of the Sermon on the Mount. These are not just a series of unrelated, unconnected statements that Jesus made up on a hillside 2,000 years ago. They are interrelated. They are progressive. And this passage is simply known as the Beatitudes. And the understanding of these verses hinge upon knowing this word. And this is just the fourth in a series as we're going along. And although there have been those who have translated this word as happy, we've come to understand that the word means so much more than that. The word talks about it being the very highest good that God can have for us. Talking about it being the best it can be. Talking about it being the most useful or the best thing that God could do for you. And as we look at those kind of things, we have to wonder, how is that very possible? The point is that throughout all of these things, the effect is that we become more than what we were to begin with. It makes us more like Him. And all of these circumstances that Jesus is talking about here are common to people. But if we understand what God is doing, we understand that these are truly blessings, as we call them, that we can be fully satisfied in what Father is doing in our lives and through our lives. We have been taking a very deeper look into these verses, taking a look into the actual words that were used, taking a look into the context that Jesus had, looking at the culture of the day. And as we are going and we're taking this deeper look, we're finding a deeper connection to these truths than what we've ever had before. Now today, we are moving on to verse 7, where it simply says, blessed are the, remembering, blessed means, this is the best thing that God can do for you. The best thing that you can be is merciful. Blessed are the merciful. And of course, being merciful requires or necessitates having an opportunity to be merciful. And this week we've had plenty of opportunities. Now again, today, my point here is not to cast fingers. My point here today is to confess my own weaknesses and to ask that you pray for me. The word says here in James, it says, confess your faults one to another and pray for one another that you may be healed. And so I covet your prayers because I have not been as exemplary as I would have liked to be. I am not as exemplary as I would like to be. And without going into a whole lot of detail, because again, the details aren't necessary. But this week has been something else. Last Sunday morning, we had a marvelous time here. But last Sunday evening, we got a phone call from the health department. And one of Marcy's co-workers had a positive COVID test. And so the health department says that all of that staff was going to be quarantined for 2 weeks. And we think, really? Because at that point in time, everyone seems fine. I get on the phone, I call my principal, I contact the superintendent, we contact everybody, and we are cleared to go back to work because secondhand exposures are not something that they're worried about. And so we go back to work. And I get to work, and there's one person that asked me about it. I kind of roll my eyes like, this is no big deal. And so we go on, and we simply continue on. By the time we get to Tuesday afternoon, this is me. I was furious. Why? Not because it's a positive test, but because Facebook is blowing up all over the place with all sorts of allegations and things about our family here. And it was difficult. There's over 7,000 people who think less of me than what I had before. And I realized this is my problem. This is my problem. Reputation is a big thing to me. And so the information that was out there was incomplete. It was misrepresented, misunderstood. And it cast us in a very, very bad light. And everything in me wants to lash out at this person that I spoke to. And so, on Wednesday morning, I'm on my way to work. And I'm praying, but I wasn't smiling. I'm praying, Father, what am I to do? What am I supposed to do with this thing? And I'm on Morgantown Avenue. I'm down that far side behind the middle school down there. And Father simply tells me, simply reminds me, he says, do you remember what we're talking about this coming week? I says, yes, I do. It's blessed are the merciful. But you remember whenever we talked about blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Sometimes it's given strength, and sometimes it's just given a kick in the pants. Well, you can imagine when I got that day. It was not what I was wanting. Oh, you poor baby. He said, no. That's not what he says. He says, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. And I said, Father, I know you're right. I know what you're saying is right. And I said, but I don't know how to do this. I said, Holy Spirit, teach me this week what this means, because if I'm going to have to share about being merciful, I now have such a tremendous opportunity to practice what I preach. So I go to school, and I say nothing. But inside, I am seething. I want so badly. I want to jump into the fray. I want what I want. On Thursday afternoon, wonder about that picture. On Thursday afternoon, Marcy got her test results back. She's negative. And that was fine, but I went because of being ostracized and people being very careful, people not knowing exactly what to say, think, or do. I went to have my test done. And I want you to know, I'm negative too. I'm positive I'm negative. And so,
they also said you didn't really need to take it.
the Lloyd White, who's there, again, tickling the back of my eyes with that thing, I'm telling you, it is the most uncomfortable thing I think I've done. Well, it's not the most, but I won't talk about that. But he goes up one side, and he stops, he goes up, and he said, turn your head, and he goes up the other side. I'm thinking, he says, well, if he runs into resistance too early, he knows he hasn't gone far enough. And so I just said, my allergies have been horrible. Everything is swollen closed up in there. I think he found that. But I also think he found the back of the front of my brain as well. But I've got tears running down my face. He says, that's good. He says, you need to have that reaction. That way I know you've gone far enough. I'm thinking, you've gone far enough. You've gone far enough. And so I have my test taken just so I can put at ease everyone's concerns, everyone's fears. But I struggle, and I continue to struggle to be merciful in this situation. I asked Father the question. Everyone, and you see, I've shown the same slide week after week after week, like it was nothing. But this is me. This is personal now. Is this my highest good? Is this the best thing that you have for me? Is this your will for me? And it comes to my mind, and as I realize we need a better understanding, a clearer understanding of what being merciful means. The Greek word is eleemon. I have to look at the pronunciation key. It's not elemen, it's eleemon. It means to be full of pity. It means to be merciful. It means to be compassionate. I want you to know, and I confess, I have not done well with these things. It's something that just doesn't come naturally to any of us. When we have been wronged unjustly, there arises inside of us this tendency to resist, contend, dispute. Have we heard those things before? It's hard to be meek and merciful in this kind of situation. And so I struggle. And that's what I've done all week. You see, I've been wrestling, but I've not been wrestling with something. I've been wrestling with someone. Just like Jacob on the riverbank of the Jabbok. I'm wrestling with Father. And no, I never win. My conversations are like this. Father, I don't want to be merciful. I want to be right. I want people to know my story. I want people to understand my side. I want to be right. I want to be vindicated. I want people to understand what the truth is. I want people to come to my aid. I want vengeance. I want this person to hurt every bit as much as I have. I want that same public humiliation. I want that feeling of being ostracized. I want to be something other than merciful. And yet every time I wrestle with him, we come back to the same thing. And he says, son, my grace is sufficient for you. My grace. He says, never take vengeance into your own hands. He says, stand back and let God punish if he will. For it is written, vengeance is mine. And here he is, this is in Romans 12:19, but he is referring back and quoting back from Deuteronomy 32. This is not my natural reaction. This is not something that comes easily. In fact, this is something that I wrestle with, that I struggle against. And this is where he reminded me about grace. It is sufficient. My power is made perfect in your weakness. But Father, do I have to be so weak? Do I have to endure these things? And I haven't gotten to this point yet, like Paul. But Paul went on and he says, therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, which is part of why I'm talking about this today. Because this is something that every single one of us can and will experience over the course of time. I will gladly boast about my weaknesses so that Christ's power may rest in me. It requires opportunities to learn, to learn love, to learn grace, to learn mercy. We talked about these on, what was it, May 20th, 2018. I'm sure you remember it like it was yesterday. I had a little bit of trouble remembering it myself, so I had to go look at it one another time. But to take a look at these things, because what God was requiring out of me, because with mercy comes grace, and we don't fully understand grace. Because we talked about this before, and you remember me making this statement. Grace is kindness to the unworthy. But when we've been wronged, we don't want to be kind. We want to be right. More often than not, we don't want grace. We want deliverance. We don't want to put up with it. We want to be delivered out of it. But there's a promise that goes along with Matthew 6, verse 7. Blessed are the merciful, for they, what?
Obtain mercy.
Shall obtain mercy. There's that word shall again. Without a doubt, you will receive mercy. What is the first thing? When I say mercy, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Deliverance.
Deliverance. When I think about mercy, I think about a courtroom. I think about a judge. I think about this poor defendant who's standing there, and the next years, the next rest of his life is dependent upon what that man or that woman in that behind that desk says. When that gavel comes down, there is what my life is going to be. And the defendant is wanting mercy, wanting leniency. You see, I'm very good at receiving mercy. The word mercy is eleo, yes. Eleo. It's mercy. It's more than just an emotion. It's more than just a feeling that I have. Oh, I feel mercy upon you. No, that's more like pity, and that's part of it. But you see, it involves action. It means to show kindness. Not just to feel kindly. It means to show kindness. This is an action. Mercy is an action, not a noun. To show kindness or goodwill toward the miserable and afflicted. Oh, I feel miserable and afflicted. No, I really haven't been. I really haven't been. It means to be having that kindness joined with a desire to bring relief. I'm telling you, I've not wanted to bring relief. I wanted to bring grief. Mercy is active compassion. It is active. The application of this word mercy is showing compassion or forgiveness when it is in your power and it is your right to exact judgment. The judge sitting behind that desk has been given the authority. He or she has the right. They have the power to exact judgment. We have the power and the right to bring harm or punishment. But having that right and choosing not to is mercy. But you know, we don't fully understand mercy either. We don't understand grace. We don't understand mercy because it is not natural to us. It's not our natural inclination. It's not something I am born with. It's something that I am reborn with. The concept of active compassion fascinates us. Like I said, I'm much better at receiving active compassion than I am giving it. So what does it look like? So when I'm talking about somebody being actively compassionate, it's more than just simply being nice to other people. You see, we can be nice to other people, but that has nothing to do with mercy. That can just simply be, I'm in a good mood today, and I'm feeling nice. It's more than just simply in our day-to-day Christian life saying, well, what would Jesus do? It's something deeper than that. It's more than just simply asking the question. It's also more than stuffing it. It's more than just stuffing it down inside of us because I don't want to deal with it right now. As a man, and men know this, we got these marvelous little compartments that we can shove everything in, close that door, and we don't have to think about it for a very long time. I don't think women have the doors on their compartments like we do, because we can put it away and it never comes out. It's more than stuffing it. It's more than just avoiding a confrontation. I don't want to be involved in this confrontation, so I'm just simply going to let it go. Personally, I'm more than willing to get involved in this confrontation. Active compassion means that we have a genuine concern for the well-being of the other person. The well-being of someone other than ourselves. And we are looking for ways to meet that need, looking for ways to resolve that problem, looking for ways to heal the hurt. Jesus reminded the Pharisees, and we looked at this a couple weeks ago, as we was talking about Jesus being meek, and he took the Pharisees on. And this is one of the things that he says. He says, go and learn. Learn what this means. He said, I desire mercy and not sacrifices. He's telling the Pharisees that mercy is more than just simply going through these religious exercises that we have based upon tradition, based upon belief. These things that we're just going through the motion, saying that we are doing the right thing. Mercy is more than simply reciting the words and reciting the phrases that we've learned over the course of our Christian upbringing. Mercy means that we are looking for the need, actively looking at the need and meeting the needs, particularly for those who cannot help themselves, those who are the poor in spirit, those who are mourning, those who need your strength, not your judgment. Jesus is quoting Hosea, as he is talking to the Pharisees there, Hosea 6:6. He says, I desire mercy. The Hebrew word for mercy there is kindness. It is kindness to others. It is actively meeting the need. It is, and the knowledge of God, it is, we know His attributes, and it is exhibiting those attributes of God, that loving kindness. Without His loving kindness, where would we be? We are frequent recipients of God's mercy. In fact, the word says here in Lamentations, it is because of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed. His mercies fail not, and they are new every morning. I wake up every morning with the mercies of God. He has the power to judge me for the things I have done, the things I said, the things I have thought. And He chooses not to. This is seen in the story of the Good Samaritan there in Luke 10. This Good Samaritan, we have this sanitized Sunday school story that we tell. But I'm telling you, this Samaritan happened upon a very desperate, a very wicked, a very cruel scene. A man who's been beaten mostly to death. And he had places he had to go. He had a schedule he had to keep. There are other religious people who have already walked by. I don't have time to deal with this, or I don't want to be associated with such a thing. Because after all, it might damage my what? My reputation. I'm telling you. We don't really connect with this because our circumstances are different. You see, I'm not riding a camel from one city to the next. I'm not out in some desolate highway where there's bandits and everything else. In today's term, it might look like this. But the injury doesn't have to be a physical injury. The injury can be something that's more internal, something that's you can't really put your finger on. People who are suffering. And we are too busy to notice. Mercy sees a need and tries to meet it. Active compassion is seeing a need beyond your own and finding a solution. It means laying down my own schedule, laying down my own ambitions, laying down my own comfort, my judgment, my rights. It means laying down my opinions. It means laying down all of these things to help meet the need. Father reminded me this week that the words that have been spoken against us are not of a malicious nature. They come out of a heart that is hurting. It's coming out of a point of need. And it's likely fear. Because this COVID virus is out there and it strikes it without preference, without respect. You never know. And so it's fear that speaks. Fear that does this. And so to alleviate fear, my job, my task, is to find a way to meet that need. And if it requires having a test taken so that people can feel safe again, then that's what I'll do. I wouldn't recommend getting the back of your eyeballs tickled. But if it's necessary, it's over very quickly. The heart that is hurt is one that Father is particularly fond of. Just like mine. Has this been simple? Has it been easy? No, not very. Not at all. Okay? This is something that I struggle with. I want to be right. When this happens to you, you want to be right. It's how we're wired. We are not wired for mercy. We want vindication. We want vengeance. We want there to be retribution on somebody else, not on me. Okay? And that's the way it is. The Word says, Jesus said, and this is what Father told me. He says, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. There are many things in the Word that we just really need to be reminded of. We need to take them to heart and decide whether this is true or not true. Whether we truly believe what we say or we simply say what we want to believe. The Word says in Isaiah 54, he says, no weapon formed against you will prosper. Believe that. People are going to say what people are going to say. But it also says that every tongue which rises against you in judgment, you shall condemn. The word condemn there doesn't mean to pronounce judgment upon. The word condemn simply means to proclaim it as false. Proclaim it as wrong. What was said this week was wrong. What people have said is wrong. They don't have all the facts. And the things that keep being repeated come out of fear, come out of concern for their family. Never mind the grief, the turmoil, the upheaval it has caused for mine. The Word goes on and says, is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. The word heritage there is inheritance. Do you remember? When it says, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. This is the heritage. This is our inheritance. When it says that we will inherit the earth, we will be given all that we have need of to have, well, we have all of our needs met. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. And their righteousness is from me. The word righteousness there is not the same as what we have in the New Testament. This is the Old Testament word for righteousness. And it's talking about vindication. God is our vindication. When I say, Father, I want vindication, he's just simply saying, then sit down, be quiet, and let me do it. Vengeance is mine. Your vindication is found in me. So, how does this pertain to us? He's thinking, well, Mike, you really have had a not so nice week. But what does it have to do with us? Well, I'm telling you this, I'm no different than you are. And the struggles that I face are the same ones that you face. I'm just going to stand up here when Father tells me, he says, listen, bub, you gotta stand up and confess. But, Father, I don't want to confess. This is the time that we're going to begin. We're going to make those personal applications. We're going to start putting those pieces of the puzzle together. And as we construct meaning here, we're going to see how all of these verses here have become interrelated and connected with each other. They're not standalone truths. So let's begin with verse 3. Verse 3, when it says, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Poor in spirit, as we've talked about, is being stooped labor. You are caught in a situation that you cannot change. I got sucked into a situation that I could not change. Now, everything in me wants, I didn't say wanted, wants to step into it. But the words I speak would not bring it to a close. It simply stir it up. And so with that then comes that mourning, that loss. And again, I have felt a loss this week. I felt a loss of well, I don't want to say reputation, but again, feeling like your good standing in the community has been tarnished. Feeling a loss of relationship where people are just going, I think we need more than 6 feet today. And we're not talking a whole lot. Because they're afraid. They shall be comforted. And I'm telling you, there are points in time when it is. You're picked up in hell. There's other times you're shaken and set on your way. But in real terms, this is allowing God to be our defense. Where we do stand down and let God do it. He can defend me far better than I can. He is, in the court of life, He is our personal defense attorney. As we see here in Psalm 62, he says, He alone, I like that word alone, He alone is my protector. Some verses say, He is my defense and my deliverer, the one who sets me free. He is that safe place, my refuge, and I will not be shaken. Regardless of what is said, regardless of what is done, I will not be shaken. He is my comforter. He is that one who comes alongside me. He is that one who is that personal assistant. He is that one who's become my personal defense attorney. As we learned a couple weeks ago, I had no idea this was coming. You see how God ordains the steps of a man? And he's already here. He's already next week. He's just waiting on me to get there. But he's already been here, and he's waited for me. And he just very quietly climbs into my car and says, remember. Remember. And because he is my defense and my defender, that gives me the ability and the opportunity to be meek. Meekness is not weakness, as we talked about before. At any given moment, at any moment this week, from Sunday night until this very moment, I've had the ability to pick up the sword and start swinging. I've had the ability to get on the phone and plead my case. I've had the ability to get on the computer and type out whatever response there would be. I choose to lay it down because in real terms, this is meekness. This is great strength under control. And I'm telling you, none of us want to lose control. When we lose control, we lose. And this is where I found myself this week. And we just talked about this. Father knew I was going to come to this point. I'm on Morgantown Avenue. And he's saying, listen, bud, you can't do anything with this. And I say, then Holy Spirit, teach me. And I become hungry and thirsty for his righteousness because I need him so I can get through that day. For me to get through Wednesday with all that stuff churning on the inside, I need him. I need grace. I need love. I need mercy. And those who hunger and thirst will be filled. We talked about this. This is me. Angry. Angry. It wasn't about something to eat. It wasn't about something to drink. It's about wanting my own way. Hungry for vindication. Hungry for vengeance. Hungry for what is right. And yet Jesus reminds us this. Don't seek those things. Seek first his kingdom. And his kingdom is that which dwells in us. It's where Jesus is Lord of all. It's where I can rest with my King. And know that he has my back. He has the armies necessary to defend me. I can't defend myself the way he can. Seek first his kingdom and his righteousness. That which he has planned, that which he has ordained, that which he is doing in my life. And all those other things will take care of themselves. And by the end of this week, Facebook is blowing up. That's not on me. It's really rather alarming. And so I pray. I do pray, and I feel badly for the cost that people have had to endure here. Seek first the kingdom. Seek first his lordship. And all those other things he'll take care of. You see, I've not had to come to my defense. There have been many others in the community that have stepped up. All of these things, I seek first his kingdom. I seek his will. I seek his nature. I seek his character. which is to be merciful. His character is to be merciful, and it needs to become ours as well. It needs to become as natural as breathing. When I need to extend mercy, Father, and I simply say, Father, I have no mercy here. And what does he do? He gives me mercy that I can extend it. Freely you have been given, freely give. That's what we find in Matthew chapter 10. He extends mercy to me. And so I then, having received his mercy, can extend God's mercy in this circumstance and in whatever circumstance that I run into. This is grace. That ability to extend mercy, to lay down. I have the right to exact judgment, but I choose not to. That is mercy. I have kindness toward the unbelieving, toward the hurting, which is grace. And I simply rest. I simply rest. Here is the truth. And this is basically what this verse is saying. Mercy begets mercy. Blessed are the merciful. As I extend mercy, I have had mercy extended toward me. Just like forgiveness begets forgiveness. As Jesus says here in Luke 6, he says, do not judge. I'm telling you, that's not easy. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Now, in order to get some context and to put that into its place here in that conversation that Jesus was having, we have to go back a couple verses to verse 35. This is not something that comes naturally to us, but this is that love, grace, and mercy that we really do need to propagate, that we do need to have growing inside of us. Love your neighbors, or love your enemies, and do good to them. Lend to them without expecting anything back in return. This is difficult. Then your reward will be great. What is that reward? It's not riches. It's not a mansion on a hilltop. It's not streets of gold. It's not anything else. It is simply hearing my Father say, well done, bud. Just like me. We've done it. Because you will be children of the Most High, because he is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. That is his character. That needs to become my character. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. This has been a blessing, and I'm telling you, I'm not over it. I have to go back to work tomorrow. But I have a paper in hand now, so I'll tag it to the front door. But I have become more than I was before. I'm more than I was last week. Not because it has been pleasant, not because I've been happy, because I've certainly not been happy. But I'm telling you, I am more than I was last week. I have been blessed. And in Christ, in him, I am fully satisfied. I know that he holds this. He handles it. Am I still angry? I have my moments. Okay, I do have my moments, and it comes over me. I say, Father, take this. Now I just need to pray and ask God to forgive. And I haven't done that yet. He just reminded me this very second. But this is what I need to do. We began with this verse. And this is where I'm going to end as well. You all are my brothers and sisters. I've said this so many times. This is my tribe. And this is my home. And you are my brothers and sisters. And so I can be honest with you. Because I know you won't judge me. And if you do, Father will take care of it. I'm not worried about it. That's why this caught me off guard. I really usually don't care what other people think. But this hit in a tender spot. And this is what Father and I are going to talk about. Why is that spot so tender? Maybe it's because I still have a heart after all.
We're glad of that.
I lost many things when I was a school administrator. And I thought that was one of the things I lost. But it struck me. And it penetrated. Because I do have to go back to work tomorrow. And I ask for your prayers. But more than that, I know what we're talking about next week. And I want to make that next step. Because again, these are interrelated. And this, from here, I need to become pure in heart. This is the next step of this adventure. And I have a feeling we are in for quite a ride. But Father is good. And although this has been a difficult week, it has been a good week. It's been for my best interest. It has been for my betterment. It has been a blessing. I will come to the point where I thank God for it. Maybe later this afternoon. In the meantime, Father, you are good. And Father, again, you and I have struggled with this throughout this week. This has been difficult. We've not been in this place for quite some time. But Father, I trust your hand in my life. And Father, I trust that you take care of my family. But Father, I pray that the character that is Christ and Christ alone will be manifest in me. So Father, that when people see me, they will see you. Father, I want to be merciful. Father, help me to model that for the people here in this room. Father, for the people I work with, I pray, Father, that this too will advance your kingdom. Father, I pray for those who are on Facebook who are taking a drubbing right now. I ask God that you will be their defense. Father, that they will reach out and they'll cry out to you, and that they will find their comfort. Yes, Father, their comfort in you. And I ask God that you will be exalted in this circumstance, in Marcy's life, and in Annalisa's life, and in those that I touch this week. I pray, Father, that you will establish your kingdom here in this place, here in this building, Father, here in my life and in the lives of those sitting here and those who are listening. I pray, Father, that your kingdom will come and that your will be done here on earth as it is in heaven. And all God's people said,
Amen.
Amen.